Hi, everyone. Kevin Martin, Chief Research Officer at I4CP. Here's our summary of our June 5th COVID-19 CHRO response series call. It was a good one. We had two guests, CHROs Pat Wadors of ServiceNow and Emma Woodthorpe of Mercury Systems, both two very high growth companies in two very different industries. You can see here the key themes. We were talking about the focus, the picking up on the theme from weeks before, right, around well-being. And they're clearly placing a major emphasis on this. You'll hear from them in just a little bit. The George Floyd murder and the subsequent social unrest is clearly top of mind. And we're going to hear from them on that as well. And then also, they echoed comments from Donna Morris, CHRO or Chief People Officer of Walmart from a couple weeks ago, where we've got to take care of HR first. And I want you to hear from them on this, because I think this is critical.
We're all on a journey. And for all of you listening, please take care of yourselves. The thing on the airplane where the parents do the mask first for oxygen and then the children, that is us, right? To care for others, you need to be your best self.
And it's very easy to lose that in this time where all I think we are worried about is our families and our employees and our team members. It's so easy. And I know I lost sight of that for the first 8 weeks of this whole crisis. And this week a little bit with what's going on. So it's really important.
Folks, clearly we're all going through an emotional just roller coaster here that's speeding up, it seems like, weekly. The criticality of well-being, including the CHRO's well-being, has got to be forefront, all of ours. You know, one of the things that they also echoed, and I just want to share this up front, because this is moving fast as well, and we cannot lose track of this, especially as the CHROs think about the moves we're making as a company now and the communications we have right now. How is that landing on our people? What is that doing from a culture standpoint? What is the culture we want coming out of this? What does this mean to our brand? Here's what Pat Wadors had to say.
And as such, taking that extra step in support and care of our employee base, whether or not you're laying them off, furloughing them, it makes a huge difference. Now, your employees will remember how you feel from a talent brand, from a care post-COVID. What is your reputation and brand post-COVID? Think about how you're showing up.
So that is an incredibly important call to action, because all of the CHROs listening to this, you know, in the coming months, as you meet with your boards of directors, weeks, months, whatever it is, and including investment communities, they're going to be asking for those insights into your culture, into the strength of your brand, and what it is coming, going through this pandemic and coming out of it. Another thing that all of you are starting to look at too is, what does the future look like? In other words, what do we want our businesses to be? This gets back to the calls to action from previous CHRO calls that we've had that have been echoed time and time again. And I love how Emma Woodthorpe framed this.
That rubber band is snapping back faster than we ever thought possible. We're already getting pushback from our Swiss community on why can't we all return to work? So it's shocking, actually, how fast it's snapping back, faster than we thought it would.
What is she talking about? She's talking about what we've been talking about on these calls, the rubber bands that you've stretched and have seen beautiful things, agility, innovation, productivity, higher levels of engagement from your workforce that have happened during this pandemic. Some of those need to stay. And where you need to stretch your organizations going forward, that rubber band that's around your organization, the systems, the legacy mindsets, the processes, is going to want to snap back to its original form. And Emma is seeing that already in their Swiss operations. So fair warning to HR, right? Now, getting back to what we were talking about here from just this past week with the tragedy around the George Floyd death, we had a poll, a survey as a company that went out. We collected data from hundreds of senior HR executives. You can see here that 68% of companies have issued some kind of internal communication from the CEO or senior executive team to the employees on what this means, why this matters to the firm, the stance the firm is going to take on this internally. Now, about 26% of firms mentioned that they're actually issuing a similar statement externally. Emma actually mentioned that she, at her firm, they issued one externally, but just to their customers. They wanted their customers to know how this impacted them as a firm and what it means to them as a firm. Now, another data point that we collected is, what is this social unrest that's associated with the George Floyd death doing to your businesses? How are you being affected by this? And you can see 56% said it's adding additional stress and productivity issues to the workforce. At ServiceNow and at Mercury Systems, it's no different. And here's what Emma had to say.
We've provided a letter to every employee who's under a curfewed city that says they are deemed essential, and we have asked them to come in and to call us if you have an issue. But the fear is real around this. So that anxiety and stress on top of everything else people are feeling is just huge. I worry about the mental toll. We actually have a session next week for our employees with a psychologist. And we've actually now pivoted. It was around COVID. We've now pivoted it to both COVID and the current unrest and situation, because we want people to understand how they can get some help if they want it, around how to deal with it, the stress. I really do worry with this on top of everything else, the mental toll it's taking on everybody and how we come out of it.
The emotional and mental well-being of your workforce, of course, is paramount. And the research we've done on well-being, and I encourage everyone to go back to the I4CP Coronavirus Resource Center and download that report. It's very real. What Emma was framing when I started out with this snippet from her is how Black employees at Mercury Systems, deemed essential, that need to go on site in cities or in locations where people are not allowed to come back in unless you're deemed essential, they were afraid to come back in. Because if they got pulled over, they were afraid of the ramifications that could happen. And that's what Emma was talking about, is how they actually provided letters to their employees so that if they did get pulled over, it showed people that they were deemed essential. Crazy. Now, this coming week, we're going to pivot and we're going to talk to Jackie Canny. Jackie is the Chief People Officer at WPP, based out of the UK, but she's working out of the headquarters in New York City. And it's going to be a fascinating conversation around culture, around how they're dealing with the George Floyd death and the communications around that, around workforce well-being, et cetera. We're looking forward to seeing you on this week's call. And until then, be well. Take care.